The Spurs just waived Jeremy Sochan, which has no apparent upside and presents only downside. So that's the problem I have with this transaction is it's illogical. Here you have an asset who is at the end of the bench. This is a player who can't shoot, so he's fallen out of the rotation. Completely understandable. But he still has value, particularly to the Spurs because he knows the system. He has chemistry with his teammates, still gets along with his teammates. In fact, I've been watching him because he has fallen out of the rotation. He's still been a good teammate, high fives, getting up off the bench, still there with his teammates. I didn't see any problem from him on the bench. Also, in the few times he has had playing time, and there's been I remember one game against the Pelicans, there may be one more, but I think it was against the Pelicans where he was brought in. He applied really strong defensive pressure, was trying to make an effort, I think, to gain some more minutes back, but he played well. But he wasn't playing much otherwise, which is fine. And so he's an asset the Spurs have. He's still talented. He was drafted number 9 overall for a reason, and he had Swiss Army knife characteristics. He just can't shoot. Okay, so given that, for the rest of the season, I'd rather have him on my team than off. And if you want to make the case, well, the Spurs needed to open up a roster spot, then drop Bismack Biyombo. But why drop Jeremy Sochan? It doesn't do anything for you, especially given the Spurs are in contention, real contention for a championship. So what if someone were to get injured? What if there were a situation in a game where Jeremy's skill set, his defense, his rebounding, whatever the case may be, maybe there's a matchup where Jeremy would be needed? Why lose this asset for nothing in return? That's the problem I have here. It's not that Jeremy was out on the end of the bench. It's not anything else other than this is illogical to lose an asset for nothing in return. And we know there's value, and it's apparent in the marketplace because multiple teams are already said to have interest, and those teams being the Bulls, I think the Suns, and possibly the Lakers, maybe the Knicks. But either way, this is a talented player who was just dropped for nothing. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't know the decision maker here, but this was the wrong decision to simply drop a player off. And I mean, with the Spurs, it's before it was Greg Popovich. Now apparently it's Mitch Johnson. There's not a given reason here, but there's easily a scenario where Jeremy Sochan could be used. We don't know. It might not come up, but even if it doesn't come up, the Spurs now he could go potentially to another team. Maybe it's the Suns, maybe it's the Knicks, and the Spurs could see either of those teams in the playoffs. So then Jeremy Sochan could potentially be used against you instead of him being on your bench and there for you. And I saw another snippet or an excerpt from an article, and that it was that Jeremy wasn't looking to be bought out. So I don't think this was anything from Jeremy's end. And let's go ahead and look at this ESPN article. So yeah, Jeremy here with a quote just stating that it wasn't always rainbows and sunshine, but he's fallen out of favor because Carter Bryant has emerged. Then we have a quote from Mitch Johnson. But even with Carter Bryant's emergence, my reaction is so what? So Carter Bryant takes the minutes. There are 15 slots. It's not as if Jeremy couldn't occupy that 14th, 13th, whatever it is, and be there in case the Spurs needed him. Now he won't be there. We've seen this. We think of Steven Jackson, where Greg Popovich dropped him before the playoffs, and the Spurs really could have used him. Supposedly, there was something else where Greg Popovich had a problem with Steven Jackson, character-wise, something along those lines. But here, I don't see that in place, and the Spurs could have kept him. There was one other thing I wanted to mention, but yeah, this is my main problem with the move. The Spurs don't get anything in return. So when you look at just any decisions that you make, what is the upside to this decision? And I don't see Jeremy presenting any type of problem for the Spurs. He was under contract. The Spurs are already going to pay him. What is the redemption here? What are the Spurs getting back in return? And that's the problem I have is like, if you're going to make such a move, then there needs to be a compelling reason for that. Now, yes, there could potentially be something else that was, said between Mitch Johnson and Jeremy Sochan, but I didn't see it from the bench. And Jeremy hasn't said anything to indicate that there was such a condition. But it looks like Mitch Johnson had a problem with him, and he wasn't playing in a lot of games that I think he could have been used in. I mean, Jeremy's talented. I know, after something negative happens to someone, it's easy to dismiss them. Jeremy is truly talented. He just can't shoot. So again, understandable that he wasn't playing. But to drop him means that he has no value whatsoever and he couldn't contribute. If nothing else, he's insurance in the playoffs, a talented player who can come in, who would be eager to prove himself in a situation, who could contribute to a championship, and now he won't be here.